Hey guys, it's Al from Aldrowy channel, and I'm coming to you from my motel room. As many of you know, I am on an incredible journey of stepping into my purpose, where I was in a living situation where, as you guys know, for graduation, when I was, in Ascension, I got to a graduation point, and the divine said, "Okay, you're graduating," and then annihilated my life in the way that I thought it was going. And I ended up homeless, no job, no money, no income, and I had to rebuild it. And so the process began, and then this plague came through and wiped it all out again. And it's just been one thing after the other because I'm the shit. And so are you. And so, you know, what ended up happening is I had finally found a place where I felt comfortable. I was staying on an inflatable mattress in their house, and I was grateful in a way that I can't describe. But because of the plague, the job that I'd gotten had let us all go, right? And so we lost our income. And then on top of that, they started to get fear based thinking into their midst. And it started to become very, very toxic to my high vibrancy. And so the thing was that I had a choice to make. And I am the type that will die on behalf of other people. I will always give my heart. You know what I mean? And so people find that to be a weakness, though I'm probably the least person that you would like to take on head on because I will just, but nor here nor there. I had a choice to make, and it was, do I let this thing interfere with my quality of life and who I am? And so after a almost assault on my physical body as a warning, I took the heat and I jumped and I decided I am worth fighting for, and that though others may need to work through this fear, I'm okay with whatever happens. And so I was like, I left and I ran. Well, not ran. I walked with my little backpack, my little gay backpack, as a fool, and just took off and walked into the, not knowing what was going to happen, but having faith that the divine would take care of me. And so the first night I went and I went to this motel that I thought I was going to go to because it's where it was directed, and it was boarded up, and I just about sank because it was a faith based thing, and it didn't work out. And so I sat and I was bitching and moaning for about 25 minutes or so, and then the divine just let me do it. And then out of nowhere, I just heard very clearly, "Why don't you go check the Best Western?" So I went and I spent all my money on getting a room that night, and it was beautiful, and I was loving it, and I went back to a very a more deep uh, place of balance. And so the next day, when I left, I had no money, no resources, nobody to that would take me in. Nobody volunteered, and I wasn't about to go beg because that's not part of the journey. So the next thing I know, I am sleeping on the ground in a vacant lot next to a church by a tree that had been pointed out to me on my way out, and I was heartbroken because there we were again. But then I realized something in the process. I talked to Divine and I posted a video about it. And so this morning when I got up, I was like, well, this is not going to do for me. I deserve exactly what I'm looking for. I am the manifester. Let me find a way to get off the ground in the middle of this COVID-19 fiasco. And so I found a pay card from my job that I'd completely forgotten about. Don't know how you forget that, but I did. And the divine just said, you were blocked. So it was always going to play out this way. And so the next thing I know, I opened the card and I do what you're supposed to do to activate it, and there was money on it. And so it led me to the Quizbee, which is where I'm staying tonight and tomorrow because I had enough for the 2 nights. And then after that, we go back to zero, and then we just keep going, right? The reason I'm telling you this story is because of the fact that many of you are facing what they would consider a brave moment of self discovery or stepping into your purpose. You see, in the act of me understanding that I was at risk of having my energy either sucked or being in a situation where I could suffer, and it would be a negative thing, like bleeding off of my high vibrancy, that I had to make a choice. And the choice was I going to show up for myself and leave for my journey and step into my purpose? And here we are. I did it. But it was in the face of incredible adversity during a plague with no place to go, and not having the best of Soul Tribe yet. I have them, but they're all in different places, right? There are people that are in my vibration that live in Georgia or California or Florida or New York. And these are people that, for the most part, I have never met. It's just I have an affinity for these lines that are popping up in my vibration. And so I'm supposed to speak to you about what it is to be brave in these times. For me, this is where it deviates a little bit. For me, this is not bravery. This is I don't know any other way. From the time that I was a kid and my mom and I not being really, there was like an alienation. I've never felt like I was never really loved by my mom, I thought. And I was always I'm an INTJ, so I was very, very practical and very Capricornian. And even though I was a Cancer, I was kind of like, I was moody and I was very, very analytical. So you can imagine what that, picture like a really super smart, manipulative, lower end frequency cheerleader, gay dude who liked to fist fight. Like that was my thing. And I was a warrior from the get go, but I didn't understand that. And so, because Jesus, the guy who raped me when I was 7, emulated Jesus Christ, it just sent me on this wild ride, right? And it was very harsh. And so then, I flunked the 5th grade, and then I went. And on the flip side of that, I did the complete opposite. I went into GT without studying. I mean, it was just like it was a switch. So personally speaking, I've experienced this switch before in a very smaller, in a world within a world kind of way. And so then when I ended up in the cult, and by the time I was 13, I haven't stopped working since I was 13 years old. I'm 41 years old. I'm about to be 42. I know I look good, right? And it's all the masturbation and all the and the I've done it all, baby. Yeah, yeah, I'm the shit. Um, Laughter through tears. Anyway, so I've never known life without being kicked. I've never known a life without not having an option. You see, when you are one of God's children as opposed to God's people or humanity, if you ever aspire to be one of God's children, then He treats you like a child and His child. And so He's going to test you. He's going to push you. He's going to, you know what I mean? Because our system was a patriarchal system, so He was reacting in the way that He understood that we would take from organized religion. It was dogmatic. It was like, you will be blasphemous. You cannot ask questions. You cannot do this. And it's very dictatorish, which of course just led me to be like Dick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, bye. And so I finally got that somewhere along the way. By the time that my mom died, I was 26 years old. It had just been a rough road. And so the victimization was so heavy. And that's where the idea of the swamps really take effect, because this is the swamps. Earth is called the swamps to the higher realms, because it is where warriors and princesses and princes come to become kings and queens and emperors and empresses. And this is where nobility from all walks of life, from star seeds to other beings, to other light workers, to other type of beings that exist in the cosmos, have to come through in order for them to rise into their purpose and to represent their clans. And so as we do this, whoever said it would be a garden, a rose garden? No one. So I've never known this experience without some sort of test after test. It's like I was born a Scorpio, but I'm not. But I have that. And so I found my path with someone trying to kill me, execution style. And that set off this whole awakening process. And so for me, bravery is just breathing oxygen. That's what an elder is. It's just someone who has never known the world to love that person. It's always had to learn to love himself or herself or itself. And so that's why it's like a slight aversion. I'm not egoed. I don't have an ego at the moment. I'm kind of just kind of coasting through this and letting the waters take me where they need to go. But I will say that the moment of truth for me was in my decision to walk into the COVID-19 thing and to walk into homelessness again with willpower and understanding that this is to save my life, that this was to save my energy. Who else the fuck was going to do it but me? It was me showing up for me and stepping into the unknown. And then having to sleep on the ground and bitching like a little girl. I was not happy. I am a cabin type of boy with wood, lots of wood. Right? Sexy beast. But you see what I'm saying? Like it was just I have a different mindset and a different vibration, and it's not something that I necessarily tried for. In fact, most of what I've accomplished is a complete surprise to me and the universe. I was not meant to make it out of the marshes. In fact, we're not meant to. It's designed to keep you is to keep you in a state because it's not them. The higher beings are trying to get you out. It's like descending power. And they're trying to help us rise by us connecting with source, with divine, whatever you want to call it. And the universe is trying to uplift you and take you in these arcs out of the swamps into mastery, into ascension, into direct partnerships with the divine, into co-creation with the universe. And so that's what you're supposed to. I mean, that's what we're fighting for. But you don't know that here because the government is very, very, fear mongering. And yes, you can die, but you can die from anything. You can die crossing the street. We don't have a pandemic for that. We don't have, pneumonia killed more people than are going to die from this, but we don't have other. You see what I'm saying? It's a mindset because they're terrified. They know that this is judgment for them. They know that the patriarchal system is being destructured by the super consciousness and it's making a switch. And those people who are reactive and are victimized and are either the perpetrators that make us victimized or the actual victimization mentality, the lackluster personality, are freaking out because now they're deadlocked and they're in a stalemate that cannot be broken. And so the divine is going to literally alleviate it and break it. And we're part of this breaking. And so understand that for me, it wasn't bravery. It was understanding my connection with the divine, which is going to be everyone's connection by the time this is all said and done. Because that is what we're after. When you destructure organized religion because of corruption and molestation, then you understand that it's not going to be a free-for-all. The divine is not doing this because he wants to, like, madness to ensue. No, that is not this. And so it's very important for all of you warriors out there, kings and queens, emperors and empresses who are coming into empires and into your status as your purpose grows. This is not going to be a pandemic where like the depression, everybody just was like a free for all and everybody had to fight for them. That is not this. This is a super consciousness reset, and only those that are willing to leave the limits behind and those that are willing to co-create are going to come through. It is that simple. The way that I've been explained this download was very interesting. Everyone has already been exposed to the virus. It is already done. California would be the last of them to get it, and I believe that it arrived today fully. Here's the thing, though. There's these little white balls called pollen that the universe, or the Earth, kind of lets out during the spring. Remember, this is 7 cycles closing. Unheard of in the cosmos. I'm going to defer to Sexy Beast on this because he's much smarter at it. The astrology master, spiritual matrix master, astrology master. Psychic master, Natalie, Jamila, mystic seer. You know what I mean? Like everybody has their mastery. So I defer to different people because I am not trying to be anything. I'm not. I'm just trying to be Al, right? Like we're just trying to be us. And so I don't know why I get like all hee. I'm telling you, it's like a penis just went off. I'm like, oh, it's sleep time. But the 7 cycles are all closing or opening at the same exact time as the spiraling timelines are going ding, 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 ding. And so these things are just going to pop off. And I'm telling you, I cannot assure you enough, this COVID-19 is going to disappear in a way that's going to shock you. And as you are reset, as your zone goes down and you go to sleep, and you all go up to judgment if you're Catholic or religious. Everybody's going to do that because that's what our mindset has been programmed to do. And then as you get deprogrammed and you come back and you start working on your inner workings within yourself and then also with your divine connection with the divine and your unions and your life purpose and everything starts to come back, you're going to be rudely awakened, right? And it's going to be like, whoa, how did I get from there to here? And then that's part of your journey. They call it a quantum leap. We are accelerating. That's why time is moving faster as these spirals hit. Many things that you thought were gone are ding, 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 back into your life because you need to finish that karmic cycle. And so I had an opportunity in this craziness to take off to LA before they quarantined it and shut it down. But I have a karmic cycle here, and it's a best friend of mine and that I love. And they have not released me because of our karmic ties in the past to go. And so, as a test of the heart, I was optioned out to go and leave this person because I didn't feel like there was anything there other than just friendship, and I would come back for that. I was going to leave, and then I got a very clear, that doesn't sound like you. And I was like, you're right. Whatever happens is going to happen. So me running, because that's what it essentially was, even though I was running to protect myself, my soul was saying, no, we stay until this cycle is done, and then we're released to go. And so the way that I've expressed it best is that although I'm getting back to Los Angeles, or I'm going to Florida or South Carolina, I'm going to one of the three because of who I am and where my partners are. My business partners and whatever opportunities are coming. I'm going to allow the opportunities to come to me now. And that will be the divine guidance that I seek. You see what I'm saying? Like, I changed it from me seeking something to it seeking me. Because I find that during this crucial time, it's a switch of mindsets, and it's almost a 180. So where I used to pursue things with vigor and not get anywhere, I'm going to try now to just say what I need into the universe and allow it to present it to me as almost like the Empress, because that's the feminine aspect that I'm making good with. And so I implore you to do the same. Walk your path as best you can and understand that no one is going to do it better than you, because at the end, only you are going to judgment for yourself. And so when you come back from judgment, which most of us are, um, it'll be a dream. And when you come back from that dream, you will be different, and you will probably be scared shitless to some degree. And then you do the work. It's not hard work. It's just study. It's just study, study, study. Work with the divine. Get that interaction with the divine, him, she, it, and then build upon that into the empire and your purpose that is meant to be yours. Your fate is your fate. No one can take it. No matter how many negative energies was born into this. My path has been known in prophecy, and I didn't know that until recently. But the download I've gotten is that some of us have been prophesied there that we were coming back. The sacred seer is back. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Azrael, all are manifested into this because the creators down here are co-creating with the divine. And so instead of making a religious war, we brought back these specific masters to step into roles of leadership at this crucial time of transition. Because it's not over. Just because we make it over the hump doesn't mean that we're still not at the top of the mountain. And some of us haven't even started the mountain. So those that are starting the mountain literally need leaders to take them to the top and then to kind of get them to balance out. And that's who we are. And so as all of this happens, you're going to have to be yourself. You're going to have to be that loving, high vibration, badass, sexy man. My tongue is actually shorter than I remember. But I just spent a lot of time. Whatever, back up. Make it fun. Laugh. Enjoy this process. Because the zones they already began. So, and we'll discuss the pattern of the virus at another time when people aren't so fresh into the departure of their loved ones who made the choice to not come back because they got sick, and we're exhausted. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of us are just fucking exhausted. The swamps are no game, right? Like, we're in this, and we're just like, I said it in one of the previous posts. I had yesterday. It was a horrible day. I was just sitting on the side of the park having an honest conversation with the divine and just crying. And it wasn't because I couldn't handle it. It was the opposite. I know I can do this. This is nothing to me. I've done this before. I've been through all of it. And now it's like it's old hat. But I just don't want to do the struggle anymore. I am done struggling. I am done with it. And so what it was the tears were exhausting. I am physically just, and the divine is so sweet. And it was like very, very, it's like a dad who's looking at his baby and is crying. And he's like, okay, I'm giving you all the love in the world. I understand where you're coming from. I'm not judging you, but you need to decide for yourself. Are you going to have a beautiful, wonderful life, which I think you can do, or are you not? And I didn't know. I honestly couldn't tell you. I was so tired. And so all night long, even though I couldn't sleep, I felt like Gaia rocking me back and forth in the earth. I just felt very safe and protected. And so I started to speak to Gaia verbally out loud, and I just explained everything. And then I started to talk to my partner in the 5D, but through this 3D, and I was trying to bring that connection together because he's got to do his process. And just because I got somewhere just slightly ahead doesn't mean that he's not going to overcome me and like just go the extra mile. But I know who he is. He's just remembering who I am. And this is like eons of us following each other and trying to get this karmic cycle to end because it's beyond karma. The two of us are destined to be together. We were co-created as a couple. And it's very hard for people to understand because everybody's all about the soul, the twin flame thing, which is a different vibration. It's a different functionality. The beings that are taking the elder roles are the masters descending who meet with the chosen parties that have proven themselves worthy to house that intellect, that mentality, that way of being and presenting themselves in the avatar, if you will, or in my case, I always say the brain cell activation. We're just brain cells inside of the super consciousness, right? All having our own tasks to do, like a motherboard with each of us having our own command. And so as those things switch and the descending higher sense of self, the accelerated version of you steps in, you then activate that aspect to life. And so that's where the creation comes in. That's why they're looking for creators, is because we are changing the ways the world operates in a way that does not crumble, that does not cause a disaster, that does not cause war, that does not cause the destruction of humanity. You can build something with just the infrastructure. And from that infrastructure, you let the brain cells that are meant to do it, that are trained to do it, when whatever their skill set was that was built through this previous life, when they come back and remember who they are, they're going to snap right into roles, right? And so as they make their way mentally and trying to cognitively figure out how to connect all the bridges that are happening internally, the one thing that will not be in question will be your role. You will know who you are. That is destiny. That is what is going to happen. So I say embrace the judgment. You're going up to be assessed, and you're going to do it with your integrity and your honesty and your humility. Bullshit will not be tolerated. You will not return if you're full of shit. It's just not going to happen. If you're a political party leader that is corrupt and all, you are not coming back. Fear away, but you're not going to make us afraid because we have lived our lives with integrity and on the right alignment of God. Just because you can't, that is your baggage, not my monkeys, not my show. And that's how I was able to step into my purpose without, oh my God, we're all gonna die, and all that stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, I totally have empathy for those that have passed because I'm equally exhausted, but I'm not. I'm a warrior. I don't know any other way to exist in this previous incarnation. Now, having said that, it is very clear to me that I have successfully accomplished my mission. No doubt, no question. I know that I've been exposed to the virus and whatever happens will happen, but I don't fear death. I understand that it's just a doorway to another consciousness. So some of us may be thinking of this in the wrong lens. Some may actually have a new mission. So they may leave this planet in this and go on to their future somewhere more beautiful and more, don't look at it like a down thing, because then you anchor negativity to the soul that's leaving. Instead, look at it like they're leaving for something better. And it may not be heaven, it may be another consciousness where it's not so war driven and so greedy and so lack mentality. Like they're just stepping into peace, whatever that is for them. For me, it keeps me on this planet because I am co-creating with the divine in an active agent type of way that has learned lessons that I will give to the world while I begin to build with the divine something new. And it's not just me. You see, those of you who are ascending were all tasked with doing what? With not only creating your arcs, but creating your canvas of what your new life would be. And you were to present it by, I believe it was February. And so what happened is that the universe got together and pulled all of the creators, and certain parties really stepped up. And that's what's going to happen in the world at large. And so as we start to funnel and teach the people who successfully did this, they're going to be world teachers and have that Christ consciousness attachment. And so they will be working with Christ, who's back. And we already knew that, though. I mean, and then the Buddha, and then Gabriel, you know what I mean? Like you're going to be working and interacting with other parties that That it's not make-believe. It's just you're tapping into a consciousness that goes along with who you've become. And it's like going ding, and then you ride into your forevermore. And so as people leave and exit the planet and take the exits, we don't judge. I am equally as exhausted, and I will never look down on anybody who did not make it. Like people who do not come back, even if they don't go on to something else, it's exhausting. This is the biggest test in the universe. This is, you are kings and queens. You are not peasants. You are not. That's a mindset you're leaving, and so understand that you are here to succeed. But all the lower vibrations want you to stay because they are terrified of judgment. They don't understand how they will make it through because they won't. But that's not your that's not your monkeys. That's not your show. And so just remember who you are and focus that energy on what you are creating, because the divine goes, "That's my girl, queen," or in my case, queen. And then I went, kind of king. He wore a condom, king. But you're going to do it with love and frivolity and laughter, and you're going to do it with a sense of zest that is unique to you. My grandmother said something interesting to me energetically. I got this message. She goes, "You're such an emperor." She goes, "You're just a unique emperor." So not only do they call me occasionally the Hierophant, like on official things, like when I get the debriefings, like it was like boom, 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 boom. Like it's just not nice. It's like a lot of things are just really dark, and I'm just like, why do I need to know that? Blah 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 blah. And that's kind of how I hear it. Blah 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 blah. And then now I'm kind of being more respectful of it. But for a while, I was just like, that is a lot of negativity. I don't need to know that person doesn't make it. That's not my baggage. But it was a way to kind of discern what I could and could not deal with. And in crisis, like Capricorns, again, I'm a Cancer. So the Cancer Capricorn axis is super important at this time. And so I have very Capricornian tendencies. And I think it comes from the lack of a father figure. And so, again, that answers that question, why no dad? Because I needed to tap into the opposite of the Cancerian in me. And then to boot, as I became a higher frequency Cancer, I accessed and tapped into the Leo rising, which then led me down to the partners that I'm choosing from in business and otherwise. And so instead of me walking into this beautiful abundance that I've already had inside and facing the world now that way, I'm asking, if I'm meant to go to LA or Florida, then an opportunity will present itself because of who I am and because of how I am and because of what I've done with my life. This is no accident. Everything, this is going somewhere. And so I'm letting the universe guide me by just saying, if you want to work with me now, it's on you to present it and we will work together. I'm not going to pursue people anymore and try to figure it out because that makes me try to get in my own way, and I've learned not to do that. Okay? So having said that, remember, it's very nomadic life for me right now, and I'm trying to find my path. I only have this place for one more night because I can't afford it at the moment, but I have a feeling that the divine or one of you or something will cosmically happen that will pay for the extra night until this goes through. Like, we'll just go day by day. But the one thing I am not is afraid. Don't be afraid of it. This is a wonderful journey and an opportunity to step into your role in this new life. And as people come back and people don't come back, we will have to mourn and actually feel the emotions of those that do not return. And that is hard because these are beautiful, wonderful beings that just are exhausted and just can't make this anymore. And they're choosing, or maybe not even choosing, but they just can't physically do it. And so we're going to honor them as they go, and we're going to represent their zest for life in how we move forward, right? But because I have this nomadic situation and I don't know what happens from day to day, I'm going to tell you what happened here. So I have a bunch of tarot decks because I love, when I was learning to tap into my divine union with the divine, where I was centered and trying to marry myself between the soul and the body, which they were not always in agreement, but they were very talkative. And there's a lot of conflict between the two. And it made sense because of my role. There was no other way for me not to be conflicting within myself because there's a lot of questions. Anyway, so I trained on how to connect with the divine through YouTube and then also through my own tarot community. Natalie, I'm an Artegan, as I've said before, and then even astrology through Sexy Beast, you sexy motherfucker, the Leo King, and all these things. And so I trained through tarot through them, and then I started to do my own tarot readings. And then you guys saw I couldn't help it. I had a brilliant moment where they were like, do same-sex tarot, and that's just a shit show. So we're gonna do that later today. because I have this place one more day at least, and so I'm going to do a day of same-sex tarot, and we're going to get down and dirty with these motherfuckers who bang their wives, brothers, and shit. It'll be fun. But I don't have all my oracle decks, and so I took what was left in my bag from all of what I've had to release of um, physical things that I used to love and I used to have emotional attachment to. I've lost it all, right? That's part of the journey. But these cards made it, just these. And these are multiple decks, or in this case, multiple decks representative of my life. So look, there's not that many of different ones. But I decided that I would read it to you as I found it, okay? And this is very interesting. From word to world, careful how you speak things into the universe, magicians and manifestors. We're entering a phase where that it becomes relevant. From word to world, you must transform. I transform. From word to world, I transform. Love of the body, and it's used to open the lotus. Open the lotus of this sacred journey. As you make the sacred journey, you open the lotus from love. As a homeward traveler, and whatever that means to you at this crucial time of transition. And you escape the mirror of your shadow. As you enter the healing temple of the lunar path. Full moon coming up. Very key. And you know, Aquarian, age of Aquarius, that your heart healing will connect you to the descending power above. That will help you heal the earth as she becomes a sacred planet and is part of the judge and jury of the elders on the planet. I personally think that the crystal path before us is crystal clear. That the higher will of God enters you now. And provides you with the light priest or priestess that will guide you as we all take this leap of faith. Those were the cards that I kept that I didn't do on purpose. Every single one of them tells the story of what you are encountering now. I just wanted to share that beauty and give you hope and faith that the divine knows what it's doing. Because that's all I kept from a stack that was this big. But it's exactly right, isn't it? When you step into your life purpose, the world will see you in new light. Opportunities become abundant and your world changes. Instead of running and being afraid, embrace the blessings because that is your abundance that will lead you where you're going. Avoid the mirror traps of falling for the shadow. Negative energies are negative energies, but I will throw a monkey wrench into this. Negative energies must make this transition too. No one escapes the switch. So don't let the shadow side of yourself convince you that there are lower forces pulling you down because it makes you unaccountable for your own baggage. Remember, where there's good, there's bad. Where there's love, there's light. All of that. So they must make this transition too. So I would say before you look to the external world that is fighting you, look for those around you that are jealous and are in that lower frequency that may attack you. But it's ultimately up to you to get beyond that, because negative forces are trying to help you in many ways because they can't make it through this switch without you. I know. I know. When the zones go down, it'll go zone by zone. As you all come back, or those that choose to come back and fight for the future or whatever the new world will be, you will be tasked with leaving limits behind and stepping into your purpose and in your unions and in your power. As I head into this, the partner that I thought was going to be decided to go someplace else and follow their own path. And I love him more for that, because that means he's going down his journey and will need to learn what he needs to learn. And then the only other party that would even be registered under this possibility, I don't think is aware of it yet. But that's not my monkey, it's not myself. I can still be beautiful and fucking badass on my own. I can get some Kmart titties, lip. Now I'm gonna leave my lips alone because like people really love that I can, you know. This is only traumatic if you make it, and I'm pretty sure that all of you are tired of living life the way that you were living it. So instead of being afraid of it, just embrace it. You know you're strong enough to do this. And if you're not, then know that we love you and that you are free to go. Free to go. No one is making you come back. Even your kids would rather you be safe and happy than to come back and be miserable and have to suffer building a new life again. Because we're all having to start from zero. And as exhausted as I am, I arrived here never knowing anything else. So I'm just going to coast right on through. I might wear like one of those cigarette packs from like the 1920 commercials and just be like a big talking ad about it. You're worried about cancer? Well, fuck you. lower frequency of me. I can be a little petty sometimes. I enjoy that part of myself because it makes humor still exist. I've never taken myself seriously, and neither will you. Find your light, and instead of just finding it and providing the beacon for other light, step into the light and become the light. Step into your purpose as the light fixture. You are presented now as all 7 rays of light into one, and you're shooting out into the world to help it heal Gaia and to help heal itself. Do it with compassion, with love, with humility, and with integrity, because that is who we are. Especially as me as an Artegan, that is her philosophy. Madam President. And understand that you will find things like that egoish on a lower frequency, but for us, for me, Natalie, Chris, for the Leo King, as we get these new titles, it's not us. It is us stepping into the role that was destined and prophesied for us. It is not our concern whether you are there or not, right? Because we're trying to get everybody to be kings and queens and warriors. And what else did you come down here for? Are you happy with the way things were? I sure as hell wasn't. So make the transition. It's happening in the next couple of days. The elders returned. They are present and they are acclimating to who they are and having to work through a couple things here and there. And the horsemen are coming back together. Now remember, the horsemen are, for those of you who are not in alignment with God and are all freaking out and like just can't handle it. They're already here. It's already been passed. They're just representing the opposition of what you think. So where there's war, they are bringing peace. The war's already been going on. That is what we're leaving. The famine is what we were going through. The greed is what we were going through. Death is what we are going through. What we are bringing back as the horsemen would be peace, spirituality, love, and rebirth. And if you can't wrap your head around it, then you should probably be a little afraid of going to judgment. No offense, but we have left. That's part of the swamps that we are leaving. We are taking the swamps and making it Eden. a new opportunity for humanity in the age of Aquarius to meet its ascension path as it becomes a sacred planet, and in it you become a sacred being. That is golden opportunity. That is what kings are all about, queens are all about. It is that creation that they are seeking. So find it within yourself, embrace it, love it, and then walk right on up to gates like I did and was like, yep. Why do you think they call me the Hierophant? With love and light, I love you all. As you head into the night, your kids are protected. Your animals are protected. The entire world will be paused. And when you come back, things will be different. Buildings that were not there will be there. Things that you think are not possible will be there. Because you weren't, and no offense, and not judging you, but you weren't really paying attention. Because every day I am extended the opportunity to go and walk. See the tan? It's a very important vitamin D. It's called energy. It's called, because when you go through this transition, you will be going through it, possibly through cold or through the coronavirus or through allergies or asthma, whatever it triggers for you in order for you to finish that process, to let it go once and for all. And so as you do that, vitamin D and sunlight becomes important, so does exercise. But anyway, I extend my life ability to go through this process with you all publicly has allowed me to walk every day outside because I'm not afraid of this. It is what it is. If it's already attached to me, it's already there. There's nothing you can do about it at this point. Either you have it or you don't. It's that simple, right? Like, so it's just all of this other stuff. Staying inside is just the ability for those that are panicking to be afraid and make fear spread because it makes them feel better to keep you small. For those of us who are big, we're just like, fuck that. I mean, look at my journey. But the point is that I have watched the numbers of people exercising go down and down. I'm warning you, do not surrender your ability to exercise because you're going to need your strength for whatever your ascension path is. Alright, guys, with love and light, I'm going to share something with you that I just got, for some reason, it's just being channeled. There's a thing that I remember from Practical Magic. In love and light, erase death from my sight. In love and light, I create new life. In love and light, erase death from my sight. In love and light, I create a new life. In love and light. Chant that. It's an affirmation. It's something that tells you that with the death of something comes a beautiful butterfly. Everyone is being channeled this energy about butterflies. I don't know if any of you have stopped to look at the world at large, but there are new caterpillars all over us, and you don't see them, but they love me. They were crawling on me when I was having lunch. That's when I looked and I was like, oh, hey, but ouch, you don't you bite. And there are new butterflies that have never been seen before. Because some are going to try to make this transition too early. And it represented to me that if you try to enforce your ego or your belief system into this without just surrendering yourself to the divine, then you may blossom with a heavier caterpillar and not enough wingspan to take lift and fly. Surrender in full, and you will have a wingspan that will let you rise above it all, and you will guide the other butterflies as they emerge from this cocoon into freedom. Just because you make the transition and come back doesn't mean you're guaranteed Eden. Doesn't mean that you will have the power. That is between you and the divine. And if you enter this from a false sense of you know what's best, then how will you ever succeed at getting the wingspan you need? You will, and many of you will see this if you're paying attention. So do not be afraid of the buildings that you will see. They were being built while you were hiding in life. I know because I've seen it every day. Two things are not stopping. The government offices, like the mail, is still going. Interesting. And all of the construction is still going. But everything else has stopped. Ask yourself why. Everything is predestined and everything is already known. Our names are on lists, and we've known that conspiracies are true to some degree and not true in other ways. The Bible has its astrological coordinates. There are pathways and indicators everywhere. It is now your task to find yourself in alignment with the divine as his replica, her replica, its replica, and step up to the plate. That's it for me on Alan Altruistic Channels with love and light. Blessed be the night that you step into, empowered to know that you will be alright. In love and light, erase death from my sight. In love and light, I create a new life. Great affirmation.